don't see this everywhere.
Who wouldn't be captivated by it?
Let me just wow you.
There's nowhere in the world we can't reach.
It was the most incredible experience.
All around us, something amazing is happening. Plants and flowers are revealing incredible secrets.
Hello?
Someone just watered me. It wasn't quite enough.
More sophisticated than we ever thought possible. In their fight for survival, some plants seem almost human. They help their neighbors, build relationships, and love to show off. And when times are tough, they trick, steal, and even kill. Welcome to the bizarre, romantic, and sometimes violent world of amazing plants. Early morning, an unusual patient arrives at a German hospital. Anesthetist Monica Bermelin is about to perform an unusual experiment. Her patient today is a houseplant, a super-sensitive mimosa. The slightest touch makes its leaves spring shut. Normally, that's a defense against insects, not hospital staff. The anesthetist is going to try to stop the mimosa's signature leaf movement. She's giving it a drink of ether, an early knockout drug used in humans. After an hour, it's time to test the result. There's not a flicker of movement. The mimosa seems to be out cold. In humans, ether works to stop nerve cells from transmitting signals. But a plant has no nerves. So why does the ether work? The answer might lie elsewhere in Germany, at the University of Freiburg, where Professor Edgar Wagner is conducting an experiment on electricity. It was long thought that plants do not use electrical signaling, but that thinking has changed. Professor Wagner will demonstrate how electrical signals pass through a plant. Electrodes connect the plant to a computer, able to record the faintest of electrical signals. This plant is in for a shock. The professor burns a leaf. And the computer comes alive. The injured plant is producing a definite electrical signal. A 50 millivolt charge races across its body and down its stem, passing through the same tiny tubes as its sap. It surges forward like a human nerve signal, though the signal moves more slowly than it does in humans. The plant shows a definite electrical reaction to the flame. Likewise, with the mimosa, tests suggest that electrical signals are what trigger the plant to flinch. When the mimosa was treated with ether, it stopped transmitting these signals and went to sleep. These are just two examples of electricity in plants, and there are more where those came from. The electrical activity in a flower stalk changes before it blooms. And when wilting plants are watered, signals race from their roots to their leaves, as if to say, thank you. These discoveries show that plants have many mysteries yet to reveal, and they act more like humans than we ever imagined. Especially when it comes to their diets. Most plants get the minerals they need from the earth. But some live in places where that's impossible. They've developed an appetite for meat. The bright flowers peering between the lilies hide a dark secret. Yellow bladderworts float in water, which doesn't provide as much nourishment as soil. They need something more to survive. To a hungry water flea, the bladderwort's maze of leaves looks like the perfect place to find lunch. Unfortunately for the fleas, they are lunch. Bladderworts are the fastest carnivorous plants in the world. Their traps open and close within 15 thousandths of a second. One touch of the trigger hairs around the trap is all it takes. The plant sucks up the flea like a vacuum cleaner. Digestive juices dissolve the prey and give the plant the minerals it needs. But the bladderwort's appetite is nothing compared to one of its distant relatives. In the Borneo jungle, ambush killers prepare for a feast. A trail of termites is hunting for food. It looks like they've hit the jackpot. A juicy plant dripping with nectar. The frontrunners make off with the first few bites. But they are the lucky ones. The termites have been lured to a non-stop eating machine. A white-collared pitcher plant. One by one, they slip on its nectar and tumble into the darkness. A fatal pool of rainwater and digestive acid greets them. For the pitcher plant, it's the start of an endless bug buffet. It can eat more than 6,000 insects an hour. Bugs living here tread a perilous path. Pitcher plants abound, both above and below. Some hang around in trees. Others lie in wait on the ground. All use similar tricks to tempt prey. Every pitcher is a slippery death trap. But not all plants wait for food to fall into their laps. Some go out hunting and use the most unlikely skill to do it. This grasping tendril is Cuscuta, or strangleweed. Once it moves in, there goes the neighborhood. Adult Cuscuta have no roots. they steal everything they need from their neighbors. When it finds a target, Cuscuta lunges like a vampire and sucks out nutrients from the host plant. Once fed, this ravenous parasite spreads like crazy. It can grow close to 5 inches a day. Scientists at Pennsylvania State University are eager to unravel Cuscuta's secret. How does it find its victims?
The thing about Cuscuta is that it needs to locate the host quickly, otherwise it will die. But nobody knew how Cuscuta finds its host.
Some scientists think it's drawn toward water or light near other plants. But the Penn State team has an incredible theory. They think Cuscuta has a sense of smell.
We had several hypotheses, but our favorite hypothesis was that it was using the scent of the host plant.
To test their theory, they plan an unusual experiment. The lab becomes a perfume parlor. They're going to give Cuscuta 2 choices. On one side, they fill a cone with concentrated tomato scent. On the other, a real tomato plant is hidden under glass. With the true plant smell masked, will Cuscuta be fooled? The picky plant seems hesitant. But not for long. The team is right. Cuscuta likes what it smells.
I think Cuscuta has this really sort of sophisticated foraging behavior almost that sort of defies people's expectations for a plant. It really is sort of a behavioral response that's more what we expect to see from an animal.
When it needs to find food, Cuscuta seems more like a python than a plant. And hunting isn't the only animal-like behavior plants employ. When it comes to reproduction, they pull out every trick in the book. A flower meadow is a beautiful sight. But there's more going on here than meets the eye. In fact, the wild colors here signal that this is a hotbed of amorous activity. In order to pollinate, most plants need to attract insects. That's where flowers come in. Bright petals are like a neon sign above a fast food restaurant. They tell insects there's a nectar banquet inside. Some flowers dish out their treats like canapes. Lines on flower petals act like lights on a runway, guiding insects to the right spot. But some flowers rely on a different kind of drawing power, raw sex appeal. For bee orchids, looks are all about love. And these scarlet wasps are the orchid's target. A flowering bee orchid looks just like a female wasp. Even its hairs feel like the real thing. In a frenzy of passion, the wasps struggle to mate. A confused courtier gets more than he bargained for. A package of pollen sticks to his head. Desperate to try his luck elsewhere, this Romeo plays the field. He tries again with another temptress, unwittingly delivering pollen in the process. Bee orchids don't just look the part. They produce a perfume identical to the pheromones of female wasps and bees. The scent drives males so crazy that they often prefer the flowers to the real thing. Scent is a powerful lure across the plant kingdom. But not all scents are equally pleasing, at least where human senses are concerned. Natural history filmmaker Karl-Heinz Baumann needs a cast iron stomach. He's tracking one of the most pungent plants around. The skunk cabbage smells like rotting flesh and excrement, but its reproductive story is actually very sweet. Through a thermal imaging camera, Karl-Heinz can see the cabbage warming up for the main event. The heat helps propel the plant's fecal fragrance across the swamp. As the stench hits the fan, scavengers come running. The bugs think they've hit pay dirt, but instead, they walk into a trap. The plant walls are slippery. The bugs slide deep into its belly. But the cabbage doesn't eat them. It keeps its captives warm and well fed. The plant's rotten ruse becomes clear in the dead of night. With this special lipstick camera, Karl-Heinz watches a bizarre transformation take place. The cabbage's flower bursts to life. A shower of sticky pollen covers the captives like confetti. As dawn breaks, Karl-Heinz can see that the prisoners are still alive and desperate to escape. They climb the stamen to freedom. Free they may be, but the bugs don't seem to relish fresh air. They rush straight to the next cabbage to innocently deliver pollen and spend another night in a stinking cell. Some insects are a plant's best friend. Other insects are a plant's worst enemy. The question is how to tell who's friend and who's foe. On the east coast of Mexico is a stretch of coastline called Playa Zicatela, the Beach of Thorns. These razor-sharp spines are the acacia tree's first line of defense. They're great for keeping hungry animals away, but no use against rampaging insects. Ants can't leave the tree alone. They've even set up home in the thorns meant to protect it. The hollow barbs are dry and cool, the perfect place to raise ant families. And the great ant takeover doesn't end there. Adults rip the bulbs from the acacia's leaves. They're packed with vitamins and provide a tasty treat for their young. Surprisingly, the ants eat only the bulbs and are actually friends to the tree. They cause no damage living among the thorns. In fact, scientists have discovered that far from being a problem, the ants actually protect the tree. A simple test shows that when the tree is damaged, it cries for their help. The injured tree releases chemicals into the air, bringing ants racing to the rescue. This may be a false alarm, but the tree's real enemies are never far away. Left alone, the grasshopper could gorge on leaves. Thanks to the ants, it won't get the chance. No one is going to trample on their turf. They bite wherever it hurts most. The ant and the acacia are perfect allies. The ants guard the tree, and in return, the acacia provides first-class accommodations. Pools of sugary sap ensure that this members-only club gives its residents plenty to drink. It's an exclusive area where unwelcome guests are not permitted. The acacia is not the only plant with a sophisticated defense strategy. Some plants actually resort to chemical weapons. The Utah desert is a tinderbox. Temperatures climb as high as 116 degrees. Summer lightning strikes cause huge fires. The flames destroy everything in their path, but they also spark the arrival of a deadly weed. Chemicals in the smoke rouse wild tobacco plants from their slumber. The desert becomes a smoker's paradise. Hungry insects are first to roll up. They are desperate for fresh food, gobbling up as much as they can, as fast as they can. But suddenly, the tobacco break is over. The bugs quit in a flash and vanish. Somehow, the plants have fought back and won. A group of scientists studying natural defense systems are on a mission to unravel the tobacco plant's secret. They break down a leaf sample to find its hidden ingredient. Their discovery won't shock anyone who's read the warning on a pack of cigarettes. Tobacco plants under attack pump their leaves with a toxic poison, nicotine.
And a leaf this size can have on the order of 5 to 10 milligrams of nicotine, which means that it's the same amount of nicotine as between 8 and 10 cigarettes. Now, when you're eating a leaf that has that amount of nicotine in it, it turns out to be a very poisonous meal. And typically what happens is that the insect will start going into a paralysis, its muscles will begin to tighten up, its breathing will stop, its heart rate will go erratically. It's a very potent poison.
Little wonder insects quit the evil weed. The plant may have won this battle, but other invaders are waiting to attack. As the sun sets, the ground gives birth to a tobacco plant's worst enemy. A tobacco hawk moth. With a few pumps of its wings, the mighty moth is ready for action. As darkness falls, scientists wait for the hawk moth's arrival. The first thing the moth wants is a cool drink. It siphons drops of dew trapped in the tobacco plant's flower. Now it's ready for work. Adult moths don't chew tobacco, but their children do. The moth peppers the leaves with eggs. Hawk moth caterpillars hatch within a week. And they really are addicted to tobacco. Incredibly destructive, they can eat more than their own weight every day. The plant floods its leaves with nicotine again. But it's no good. Hawk moth caterpillars are immune to it. For the tobacco plant, it's time for Plan B. Under siege from invaders, it sends out a last-ditch SOS. A smell worse than a week-old ashtray wafts from its leaves. Right on cue, the cavalry arrives. It's the big-eyed bug. Big Eye has an addiction of his own: hawk moth caterpillars. And thanks to the plant's scent alarm, it knows just where to find one. The caterpillar has sharp teeth and looks ready for action. But it's no match for Big Eye's arsenal. The hungry bug has bested the caterpillar. The plant orchestrated the ultimate victory. Wild tobacco combines poisons, alarm calls, and bodyguards to fight off invaders. Other plants take security measures one step further. They don't just help themselves, they help their neighbors too. Lima beans, also known as butter beans, may face a long journey in getting to the kitchen table. Hungry insects want first pickings. But limas have a special trick to tackle intruders. chemicals in insect saliva trigger the plant to produce tiny beads of nectar near a bitten leaf. These sweet drops once again alert the heroes of the plant world, ants. The bodyguards take their payment and then earn their keep. They evict any bugs they come across, regardless of size. But for the injured plant, it doesn't stop there. It takes drastic action to protect itself from any other would-be assailants. The plant declares its own state of emergency, creating drops of nectar that spring up everywhere. In response, ants race in from every direction. But that's not all. Other lima bean plants actually get in on the action, rallying ant hordes of their own. Why would plants that are not under attack behave as if they were? Botanist Martin Heil may have the answer. He thinks a lima under attack releases an alarm scent, which other plants can smell. He tests his theory and lets a bag of bugs loose on a lima leaf. As soon as the insects start to eat, the air in the bag is pumped onto a nearby plant. Sure enough, one whiff, and the neighboring lima goes to red alert. The neighboring plant isn't under attack at all, but it reacts as if it is. It's another of the amazing ways plants adapt to survive in a dangerous world. Once plants manage to grow, find food, welcome the right insects, and vanquish the wrong ones, they have another huge hurdle to face, giving the next generation a head start. And they save some of their most spectacular skills to do it. Most parents don't want their children living with them forever. Plants are no exception. They need to spread their seeds as far as possible so there's enough space, water, and food for everyone. Some, like the dandelions, simply pack their kids off with the wind. Other plants hope their youngsters catch the first ride out of town. Bristles, hooks, and sticky hairs help these hitchhiking seeds get a good grip so they can travel a great distance. Though some might get farther away than others. The erodium seed is also built with utility in mind. It sits at the tip of a tightly wound screw, which acts like a motorized drill. The seed stalk is dry, but moisture from the soil kickstarts the engine. It causes the corkscrew to unwind, helping drive the seed tip into the ground. Other plants have much more explosive personalities. violet flower seeds are crammed into a special pod. As the pod dries out, the pressure is intense. Eventually, something's got to give. Touch-me-nots are even more highly sprung. The slightest contact triggers a chain reaction. Seeds light up the sky like a fireworks display. Another dramatic display comes from this unassuming-looking plant, the squirting cucumber. It only takes a tiny vibration, and the cucumber starts a spectacular show. Seeds disappear into the distance like rockets. Spreading new plants in every direction. The next generation will start its own incredible journeys. And like every living thing on Earth, they'll have challenges to face, sometimes very mysterious ones. This field of corn might look healthy, but it's in big trouble. It's under attack from a deadly rootworm, Diabrotica. The worms lay their eggs underground, and it's their larvae that cause the damage. They chew into the corn's roots and keep eating. Insecticides are the only things keeping these corn plants alive. But corn plants should be able to call for their very own animal protectors, just like tobacco. Something's gone very wrong.
It's just an insectometer experiment.
Scientists at the University of Neuchâtel in Switzerland run an experiment to show how corn used to be able to defend itself. 6 pots are filled with earth, 3 are planted with corn, the others with nothing. All are connected to a central container. One of the 3 plants is infected with Diabrotica. The larvae immediately start to eat its roots. But unlike the corn in the field, this one fights back. It releases a chemical cry for help.
So when the Diabrotica larvae start feeding on the roots respond and they start producing a substance that's called caryophyllene. This substance is volatile and it spreads through the soil in the direction of this central pot where it arrives within an hour.
The final ingredient of the experiment has to be handled carefully. An injection of microscopic worms called nematodes. This is the army the corn needs. The worms are free to head in any direction, but nearly all go the same way.
So once they are injected in the central arena, the nematodes will respond to the call for help of the damaged plant by migrating in that arm. And we can find most of them in that arm after 24 hours and almost nothing in the other arms.
They might not look it, but nematodes are ferocious predators. They attack and destroy the Diabrodica larvae. The plant's alarm call saved its life. It didn't need pesticides. Almost all conventional corn has lost the ability to call for help from the nematodes they need. Scientists don't know how or why this has happened, but genetic modification of corn probably has something to do with it. Meanwhile, the Swiss team keeps working on the mystery.
Now with our work, we're trying to reactivate or introduce new genes that make the plants able again to produce these signals.
They hope they can help the corn find its voice again. Until then, whole fields lie silent. But across the border in France, the fields aren't silent at all. Here, the hills are alive with sounds of a different sort. It's the unique vineyard of one man, his plants, and his music. Organic wine grower Jean-Marie Zerre doesn't use fertilizers. He's convinced that what helps his grapes grow is a daily dose of the classics.
At first, everyone thought I was a little bit crazy. Some still do. But it's been my experience that the taste and aroma are better, and the sugar levels rise.
Jean-Marie seems in total harmony with his harvest. He even has music composed especially for his plants. His work raises a huge question. Can plants hear? Two German students hope to find out, with the help of the scientist's old friend, the tomato plant. The plants are placed in separate rooms and kept under exactly the same conditions, except one. One group gets its very own sound system. For 2 hours a day, they are blasted with classical music, whether they like it or not. Their neighbors are left in peace. Apart from the music, daily life for both sets of plants is exactly the same. The students measure the plants each day. 15 days later, it's time to test the results. The blue bars show the growth of the plants in the music room. The plants exposed to music are a little bit ahead of the others. The results are too close to prove anything, but it's an exciting step toward discovering if plants really do respond to sound. And if plants are listening and they know how to send out signals, then who's to say they won't someday talk to us? New York can be a fast and furious place to live. The pace of life isn't just tough on humans, it can be tough on plants too. People often forget to water them.
Well, thanks. So that's all going on at the same time.
So science students at New York University have come up with a novel solution. When these plants need water, they can order it themselves. Plant pots are fitted with humidity sensors, which check the moisture in the soil. They are connected to a specially designed switchboard. When the soil dries out, sensors set off the phones. Thirsty plants call right in to their owners.
Hello.
Hello, this is plant 09. I am very, very dry. Could you give me water so my soil is soaked? Very well. Thank you, thank you. Goodbye.
The experiment ensures that the leafy residents at NYU get just as much liquid refreshment as the students do. And if plants can ask for a drink today, just imagine what they might ask for tomorrow. Nature has equipped the plant kingdom with amazing skills. The ways they hunt for food, fight invaders, summon an army, and spread their seed continue to amaze the scientists who study them. Plants are vital to our survival, and we're still only beginning to learn what they have to tell us. Their skills are more sophisticated than we ever thought possible. No doubt, they have more secrets to share.